I am the weird guy that you always see walking around munching on seaweed. Now, here's the thing. I'm not crazy and I'm not a mermaid. I just like seaweed because it's good for my thyroid. And here's the thing. A lot of guys come to me and they don't really know about thyroid issues. And the fact of the matter is that the thyroid is a huge, huge component of not just your metabolism, but your sense of well-being and how you function in the office and how you function mentally. And a lot of times thyroid issues kind of get swept under the bus with men because it's generally women that we see with thyroid issues. It's very, very prevalent and it's very commonly diagnosed with women, but it's not nearly as diagnosed with men. And the thyroid really shouldn't be swept under the rug. It is critical to your metabolism. And if you don't have proper metabolism, then you're not able to function in the office or in the gym, and you're not able to look the way that you want to look. So in this video, I'm going to show you what you can eat to help stimulate your thyroid in the way of iodine so that you get the most out of your thyroid, so that you can get the most out of your workouts and get the most out of your work day. But first, we have to dive in a little bit with a little bit of science on what the thyroid is and how it works. So the thyroid is a small butterfly-shaped gland at the front of your neck. It's in your throat. And what the thyroid does is it helps convert calories and it helps convert oxygen into actual energy, which is basically just a longer way of saying it supports your metabolism. But how it works. You see, your thyroid requires iodine to really work properly. So when you consume iodine, you get it from the diet, it's just a simple mineral. That iodine combines with something called tyrosine, which is an amino acid. Now that combination allows the thyroid to communicate with another gland called the pituitary gland, which therefore tells your thyroid how much of the thyroid hormone to produce. Now those thyroid hormones are called T4 and T3. Now T4 or thyroxine is the precursor to T3. T3 is ultimately 4 times more powerful than T4. So we want to have that good communication between the pituitary gland and the thyroid so the thyroid knows how much to pump out. If you're pumping out more thyroid, then your metabolism is moving a little bit faster. Maybe you've heard of hypothyroid or hyperthyroid, slow thyroid or an overactive thyroid in that case. Now, what happens from there is the T4 and the T3 circulate the bloodstream and they help the body metabolize oxygen into energy, therefore making you function, making you alive. And it not only helps you with weight metabolism, but it clearly has a strong effect on your sense of well-being, your overall confidence, and even your work ethic. So if you have hypothyroidism, where you're not getting enough thyroid hormone, men, you can feel absolutely horrible. It can have similar symptoms to having low testosterone, and a lot of times that ends up being the case. They go hand in hand. So I want to show you some ways that you can get extra iodine in your diet so that your thyroid can do its job and hopefully get back up to snuff so you can lose a little bit of extra weight, build a little bit more muscle, and focus on what you need to focus on in the office and at home. So we've established now that iodine is important, but how do we get it from the diet? Well, first off, you may notice that if you were to look at your ordinary table salt, it's probably iodized salt. More often than not, 90% of the salts that we consume are iodized salt. In restaurants, at the table, when you go to the grocery store, you'll see they've got iodine added to it. And this happened back in the 1920s originally. Back in the 1920s, we started realizing the importance of iodine to proper thyroid function, and we realized that even back in the 1920s, we were starting to strip the earth of all its minerals, so we weren't getting enough in the way of iodine in our diet. So what do? They add iodine in a refined state into our salt. Well, the problem is that salt goes through additional refinement processes, which make it so that it's stripped of a lot of other minerals. It's basically lacking any minerals or nutrients whatsoever other than the iodine that's added to it. So if you start going for the pink Himalayan salt, you're going to find that you get a lot more of a spectrum of minerals and a lot more of a natural source of iodine. But there is a little bit of a caveat because the pink Himalayan salt doesn't have that much iodine. Because again, we have stripped the earth of so many of the minerals with overharvesting and what have you. So the simple best way that you can get iodine is going to be from sea vegetables like kelp or seaweed or from a supplement. And the reason that kelp or seaweed are so rich in iodine is because when you think of the ocean, you think of minerals in the earth. Well, the ocean is going to be super saturated with those minerals, including iodine. Now, kelp and seaweed, they're growing out of the earth in the ocean, which means they are going to be super rich in those minerals, specifically in iodine. So it's a good, easy, natural way to boost your thyroid to just munch on some seaweed snacks, or even some kelp snacks or kelp powder that you can add to your protein shake. Seaweed snacks are awesome because if you're on the go, they taste good, they get a little bit of a salt kick, so they satisfy that savory craving that you might have. They're also super low calorie, and of course, they're gonna help your metabolism out a little bit. But let's talk about from a supplement standpoint. What can you take in the way of a supplement to support your thyroid? Well, again, we look at iodine supplements, but it's very important that you don't take too much in the way of iodine because it can have a negative impact as well. According to a study by the best practice of research in endocrinology and metabolism, it was found that those that consumed too much in the way of an iodine supplement had the same negative effects as those that didn't consume enough. What this tells us is we've got a small interval, a small window of the amount of iodine that we should take that supports a healthy thyroid. So it's very important that you pay attention to how much you take. Now on that note, I really don't recommend taking more than about 500 micrograms of iodine per day. Now, with a supplement that you want to choose, you're going to want to look for one that's potassium iodide. It's the easiest one to be assimilated by the body. But at the end of the day, it's always best to work as close to the earth as possible because that's what your body knows how to do. So if you can get it from seaweed, or you can get it from kelp, or you can even get it from fresh, raw cranberries, which I know are totally bitter, that's going to be the best all-time solution. So there you have it. The thyroid issue is not just an issue for women. It affects men, it affects your business, and let me tell you, don't let people tell you that the thyroid is not important because it is one of the master hormones within the entire body and it regulates so much you couldn't even believe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video and I'm gonna go munch on some more seaweed. We'll see you soon.